the analysis desk. Before we get into our next game, we want to break down how those playoffs are looking right now as we get into not quite the final game of the day, but the game that will change the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah, it depends. If Gambit can take this victory over the Wolves, they will take their first place back. And as you can see on the screen, exactly how it can affect things. And Joe, why don't you go through the first round for us?
Yep, so SK Gaming versus Against All Authority. That game set in stone. That will be the round 1 quarter-final game. Best of 3, of course, those games. And Copenhagen Wolves versus EG. They're already set. No changes can happen to those matchups. Now, the semi-finals, it's going to depend on if Gambit beat the Copenhagen Wolves. Now, those positions that Gambit and Fnatic are in right now would, in fact, switch around if Gambit win the game.
Yeah, very true. And the thing is, you have to look at who wants to play who in the end of this. So we have, you know, SK and Against All Authority, they're 2-2 in the series. Evil Geniuses and Wolves, 2-2 in their series. But you have SK against Fnatic, where they were 0-17 against each other on lands. And then you have them versus Gambit, where they were 0-11, now 1-11, since they were to take a game off of them. And you have to look at it as, where do we really want to go in the end? Obviously, it's out of SK's hands. It's all up to the Wolves. They can really decide their fate here.
Yeah, they can, but it's going to be a hard game for them. You know, they lost to EG earlier on that game. You know, EG looked, again, like the EG that they've been searching for this entire season. They found up points, but never really came through. And I'm not sure what Gambit and Fnatic will really want right now, because, yes, it's brilliant to finish in first place. Everyone wants to finish in first place, but finishing in first also means that you take on the winner of the Wolves and EG. Now, most people would argue that that is the informed teams, if you like, right now. I mean, EG, as I said, they've been a bit rocky, a roller coaster ride for them, but Wolves are definitely in form right now. SK Gaming, they've shown as well towards these last couple of weeks that they are definitely a amazing team. Third place, of course, in the LCS. Spring Split. Against All Authority, for me, though, are the weaker of the 4 teams statistically from all of these.
They are, but I really think they're a team that can surprise us. Like, they can go up against any team and win against them any day of the week. And to me, it's all about, like, does SK ideally want to play against Fnatic or Gambit? I still go back to that because, you know, SK has a problem with Fnatic, it seems, where they just always throw the games 40 minutes in. They can't seem to finish the game off against them. But then again, you're against Gambit. It's like between a rock and a hard place with both those teams for them. And EG and Wolves, I mean, they're looking forward to that as well. Where Wolves, it seems to me, they play better against Fnatic than they do against Gambit. But then that's all going to show you right here if that happens.
Yeah, for me, the point is that there are no easy games
There
left.
is none.
There are no easy games left, that's for sure, for those quarterfinal and semi-final teams. As we said, the next game coming up here is Gambit versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Wolves have shown that they can win games against these top teams. They couldn't quite do it against EG, which could have earned them the 4th position, obviously, depending on how the other games would have gone. What's your opinion on this next game before we get into it, Jason?
I think that Gambit won't take them lightly in any way, since they know they could potentially go up against them anyway, so they want to get as much information off them as they can. But, you know, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to give this one to the Wolves, because they've really shown over these past couple weeks that they can step up to a team like that.
I think it'd be a great ending to a season for the Wolves, where they've only got better as time's gone along. So let's get into it then. It's the Copenhagen Wolves versus Gambit with Demon and Quickshot.
Yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So, time to get underway. The last game for the Wolves and Gambit, and well, who really will take victory? Currently, Gambit, I think, will be happy in their position. They play SK Gambit or Against All Authority. They could, of course, choose their own fate right now. Will they want to go up against Evil Geniuses or the Wolves? That's the question.
Depends on this game. I mean, they need to put in the performances and see how it goes.
We'll see, of course. Wolves did manage to defeat Fnatic earlier on, but they did go down to Evil Geniuses. So, it does mean, of course, Gambit, they are guaranteed the top 2.
Yeah,
we've just seen
that.
the playoffs.
Yeah.
Them playoffs will be happening next week. Next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the
Correct.
finals.
And, of course, with that top 2 spot guaranteed, we've seen them experimenting with compositions yesterday. We've seen that Nunu and Eve and Jace combo, which was a little different. Copenhagen Wolves, on the other hand, they're solidly in 5th. I don't think they can then claim 4th at all now, unfortunately, but they want to finish the weekend on a high. They are currently 3-1, and they'd like to make that 4-1.
Yeah, it could be a fantastic super week for them. So let's see how this one goes. Of course, Gambit, they took out Against All Authority after losing their first 5 kills. However, they bounced back to destroy AAA in the mid-game, late game. And honestly, they're going to keep on bouncing, I think, because they're up against the Wolves right now. And I think they want to win this. I think they want to finish the season on an all-time high, and why not? Here's the head-to-head, of course, between these two teams. It is Godbro in that top lane, Sven Skerren, Bjergsen, the Tess, and Officio.
And, of course, for Gambit, Darian, Diamond Prox, Alexish, Genja, and that support carry, Edward.
Support carry indeed.
Best way to talk about.
He's really, that's the only way you can talk about him. But we can talk about the members. And Copenhagen Wolves, I think this is actually probably the most improved player of the entire season for Europe. It is Sven Skerren.
So Sven Skerren is a jungler that started off the season playing a lot of Xin Zhao. Interestingly, out of all the games they've played, he's played it 10 times. He didn't have much of an impact in the opening 3-4 weeks, but the closing 3-4-5 weeks, he's just improved so much. And we were talking about his previous team's history and some of the hit-or-miss performances that he's had. You have to obviously talk about his Jarvan 4 and how extremely good it is. He's also demonstrated an ability to play a number of other champions. His Nasus yesterday was particularly good. And as we've said over and over and over, he's the key initiator for the Copenhagen Wolves. If it's up to him to pick the team fights, and it's up to Bjergsen to make those team fights win.
And of course, you know, we can't talk about junglers without talking about Diamond Prox. Probably one of the greatest junglers in the world right now.
Yeah, all-star jungler, miles ahead of his opponents leading into the all-star voting. It's going to be up to him to disrupt the Copenhagen Wolves laning phase. We know that Sven Skerren plays a very aggressive, ganking-heavy type of pattern. So we'll see how Diamond plans to counteract that. And of course, yesterday, we seen him playing Eve against the Evil Geniuses. And it was a champion that was quite new to see him on. And was he going to try something new? Is he going to try lock in first place in this particular match?
Well, of course, the Wolves have had an amazing Super Week so far, but they are very clear on the strengths of Gambit.
The way to beat Gambit is have a strong laning phase and don't give up any objectives early game. They are very good at getting buffs and dragons.
I think all the teams got better at LCS, like Wolves got better too. With Bjergsen, they got really good synergy with the jungler, the team. Concentrate on like mid ganking and some assassins like Zed or Kha'Zix that can snowball really hard.
The strongest player in Gambit for me is Diamond Prox.
Diamond Prox. Edward.
Diamond Prox.
Diamond Prox.
Diamond Prox.
Edward. But it's nice to hear the team feeling, you know, who they're more afraid of. You know, you hear support play saying, well, we don't like being ganked by Diamond Prox. You know,
Yeah.
we're not happy with that.
And it was actually only the bottom lane that said Edward.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
We don't like that
No,
Edward. We don't want him anywhere near us. He scares us. But everybody else, all the other lanes are like, yeah, I'm pretty worried about Diamond Prox coming out of that jungle.
I want to see how they play this game because earlier in the day when they played against Authority, they were very far behind in the first 10 minutes. They gave up the first 5 kills without reply, and it was only because of one misplay from against Authority that really opened the door and let them get in. But once Gambit did take back control of the game, they did not let go of the reins.
Well, I am excited to see Alexish versus Bjergsen in that mid lane. Hopefully that will happen. Of course, they could change positions. They could go anywhere. But that's the one I'm excited to see. Alexish, that man there. The only married man, I feel, in the EU LCS. I don't think anyone else is married in there. And probably the only father as well. I think we've talked about this a few times before. But
Not sure I go that far, but...
what are you suggesting about the other players of the European LCS
I'm saying
right now?
nothing at all, but let's not talk in
Let's leave that one
affirmatives.
right there,
exactly.
shall we? Yeah.
Talking about the matchup of Bjergsen and Alexish, the last time it happened, I distinctly remember Alex being quite vocal after the match. He was playing Twisted Fate, Bjergsen was playing Zed. He was saying, well, I did my feed strat. I go 0-6 and win the game. And it's something we've actually seen from Twisted Fates fairly often, that the map control and the split... Not looking very elegant there with the headsets. But, you know, the split pushing power, the map control, and the team fight power that a Twisted Fate does offer you, especially when they get to those items levels. Earlier today, when we seen what Froggen was doing to the Wolves with TF, just instantly bursting everybody with that Lichbane gold card, wild card combo, it's a very, very scary thing to deal with. So expect that to be picked or banned.
Expect the expected.
Expect
He's not
the
in this game, though, so we can't expect it.
No, well, that's the whole point. You never expect it.
You never expect it. The test currently on your screen, and they are about to get underway for the picks and bans. It's going to be Godbro, of course, versus Darian also in that top lane. And there's the baby-faced assassin himself, Diamond Prox. He is lethal from that jungle until you hear him speaking, and you're just like, whoa, what the hell just happened? That voice does not belong to that face.
D-Man actually jumped on the desk when thinking about the voice. And, you know, fair enough. Interestingly about the test, out of the games that he's played Varus 12 games out of the 26, Ezreal a further 6, and actually Graves as his third most played carry. So slightly different to what we are seeing of late, but we are into the picks and bans.
So let's see what happens. You can see Shen and Jarvan, they've been banned out straight away. Kind of expected standard bans as well.
Interesting ban of Shen from Copenhagen Wolves. Having first pick, first ban means that they have locked in either Shen or Jarvan the Fourth many times before. And by banning Shen themselves makes me think they have a plan. They may want to first pick Twisted Fate or force Gambit's hands to ban that out.
Well, we'll see what they do go with. Elise has been taken away from possibly the support. Thresh is still out there. We'll see what Gambit go with. Do they want to allow Twisted Fate through? I don't think they will. I'm pretty sure they'll be the forcing that ban. And of course, they're taking Kha'Zix away from Bjergsen.
So Zed is still available. Syndra's still there as well. The only reason I point her out is because of Bjergsen having played it twice this weekend. Thresh would be another one of the picks that I'd like to talk about. We do see many teams banning it out against the Thresh Prince, Edward, and it has been banned out again.
Yeah, you got to take Thresh away from him. You can't allow it through, which does mean it's up to Gambit. Do they take away Twisted Fate? Do they take away Zed? What do they allow through? It's going to be a target towards Bjergsen, you would assume.
And I'm also thinking if Zed gets picked by Copenhagen Wolves, expect Alex to pick up Kayle. It's what he's done previous times. I think it's actually the third time these two teams played. That was also the matchup of Zed versus Kayle. So we'll see how it goes through. Twisted Fate has been banned out by Gambit, so that was expected. And just in terms of the picks, I feel like Zed is the most important one that's still available, as is Nasus, Volibear, etc. Diamond Prox has played Nasus 12 games out of their 27.
So we'll see what the first pick is. It's, of course, the choice for Svenskeren. Will it be Xin Zhao being picked up again, or will Godbro choose to go with one of his top laners?
So I imagine they might think about going for the top laners. You can see that Godbro and Copenhagen Wolves, they're taking their time for this particular one because Gambit have not played Xin Zhao in a while. You know, it's only really Svenskeren running him in the jungle. We've seen Freddy122 running him in the top lane a couple of times. So I don't feel like it's a hotly contested pick. Somebody like Varus, maybe, Misfortune. You know, you could even talk about Lulu, something Deficio has been playing many times. And I think those would probably be the go-to ones.
Okay, look, it's going to be Varus for the test. So first choice going out there. They don't want to get counted on that top lane. Of course, we saw Darian playing a Rumble earlier on as well, remember? So he could go towards that one. Then whether we'll see it picked out straight away, I'm expecting this to be the dog, the Diamond Dog.
Yeah, so Nasus, that would be his 13th game this season if that does get locked in. So many matches. In terms of KDA, a mere 7.2 kill-to-death ratio with an average goal per minute of 313. So those are some pretty reliable stats that you can bank on. Edward returning back to his Sona, who was arguably his first true love when it comes to the competitive scene. And, you know, earlier he was running the pentakill skin, which is a little different to what we usually see.
Maybe he's going to be getting into that corset. Who knows? Not a vision you want. Not a vision you want, I don't think.
Let's please, nobody Photoshop that one. There's enough damage with the Muse Sona skin in my brain. So that's a good pickup. Misfortune is still available. With Varus being locked in, it means that Gambit will probably pick that up if they feel like another pick is, you know, preferred. Kassadin is still available as well. Alex ran that against All Authority earlier today. Did a very good job with it, especially when taking them on that massively long hike through the jungle.
So it is Copenhagen Wolves with the choices. And you can see Bjergsen and Svenskeren. They are the two with the choices on the screen. The youngest, I believe the youngest player in the LCS. I could be wrong. I don't know the exact ages of all the North American players, but definitely here in Europe, he's definitely been the youngest to join. Obviously, he could only start playing the third weekend, when he finally turned 17. It's just a scary thing. These kids these days.
Youngins indeed. So with Zed being locked in as well as this Zyra, expect the Kayle from Gambit. It's something that we've seen whenever you have those high burst damage picks. But if we're thinking about this, Copenhagen will surely would have had something in their minds as well, saying, well, we sort of anticipated this. The last time this matchup happened, Alex picked up first blood against Bjergsen in the mid lane, but as the game went on, Bjergsen was able to out 1v1 him in terms of damage and actually get through that intervention. So that is a good pickup for them. It does mean that the jungler and the top lane have both still left open.
Yeah, Deficio Zyra also earlier on was pretty good.
Yeah. Deficio Zyra is very good. It's one of his fallback champions. Is second most played, 7 games this season, 3 wins, a KDA of 6 actually. So that's a very good KDA on the support champion. Lulu has been his preferred pick. It was available, but was not picked up this time. So they've definitely got something else in mind.
Yeah, Lulu would have actually worked pretty well with that dog coming out. I mean, generally goes with Lulu when the bear's been chosen, though.
And also with Lulu, you know, you have that counter against, you know, melee sort of aggressing upon your champions, and it's also considered the counter to Zed. You tend to have that Kale and that Lulu combination. With Misfortune being locked in for Genja, I don't think anybody is surprised about that one.
This is almost old school LCS style for Gambit, with Renekton also being picked in there. This is very comfortable champions right now for Gambit. Singed being hovered over. Well, are we going to see Godbro returning to Singed?
So this would be another time that another comfort pick for him. He's played Singed 7 times already this split, so this would be the 8th time if it does get locked in. Remember that we are on live 3.5 balance, and his ultimate has removed the crowd control effects from it. You can be affected by it, so it does make him a little easier to get killed. What I do like about that, if it does get locked in, there's no assassins, there's no bursty damage coming out of his opponents, so Singed may actually be able to run riot around his opponents.
Well, we'll see what Bjergsen also chooses as the final pick. It could be still Zed, which we're expecting it probably will be now, in which case will we see the jungler being selected instead. It's going to be Cho'Gath.
Yep,
He's not going to eat the world this time, though.
No, not this time round, unfortunately. It is going to be in the jungle for Sven. I particularly liked his jungle when he did play it many weeks ago. He only played it a handful of times, so I'm a bit sad to not see it played more, but I like the effect, the knock-up, the silence. It's great crowd control. It's very beefy. It's very tanky. The only thing I don't like is outside of the burst from Zed and then the you know, damage over time from Varus, Cho and Singed, they're going to take a while to kill your opponent, so there's not as much of a damage threat from them.
So we'll see the final pick. It's going to be coming for Alexic in that mid lane. What will he choose to go up against Zed? Will it be the Kale that you mentioned earlier on? It's going to be Karthus.
Okay, so he's going to go up and Karthus. This means there's going to be some lane swap shenanigans. He's not going to want to go head-to-head against a Zed who will be able to just shred him down and really apply a lot of pressure. So we'll see how the lanes decide to match up. It's also, we've seen Alex playing Karthus, I think, 2 days ago, if I remember correctly, and doing very well with him. And it's a great pickup. It's going to allow them to clean up. It's going to mean that the damage sources of Zed and Varus, even if they get into a team fight and Alex plays that sort of zombie mode Karthus, he's going to be able to chunk them down, and Shen and Cho are just not really going to be able to clean up against the Renekton Nasus combo.
So the Gambit versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Last game of the season for both of these teams. If you missed the games earlier on, well, you've missed some crackers. Right now, the Copenhagen Wolves, they are 3-1 this Super Week, and they've finally dropped that game to Evil Geniuses, which does, of course, mean that it's going to be the 4th and 5th place are secured between the two. There's the referees standing to attention behind these teams. I hope their Danish is up to scratch, because they're going to have to figure it out. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dave, he's going to have his Russian ready to go.
This game is very important for Gambit because it will determine who finishes first in the spring split and who goes into which semi-final. So at the moment, it is Fnatic holding that first place position because they have finished all of their games and they have one additional victory over the Russian overlords. Will they be able to reclaim that gold pole place position?
You can see Diamond cracking his knuckles, ready to go with that Nasus in the jungle, working out well for him. And my God, look at that mouse he's using. That's like a 1990s Microsoft mouse right there, it was.
It's a Russian mouse, duh. But you know what? If it works and they're comfortable with it, why not? We do have a zoom in on the Copenhagen Wolves badge.
So MMIK, that's... Come on, MMIX.
Isn't it 2009?
Yeah,
2009, if my Roman numerals is correct.
Yeah.
So a very, very newly formed team at the moment.
I'm trying to think what teams they may have had. It must have been a Counter-Strike team before that. 2009, Copenhagen Wolves.
I wouldn't know.
Don't ring any bells to me, actually.
Some other rubbish game.
But the Copenhagen... but in case you're unaware of how Denmark work, their esports is actually governed and sanctioned. It's actually a recognized sport, which is why it's the Copenhagen Wolves. And you also used to have the Roskilde Ravens in there as well. The days where the actual esports teams were related to the cities, which is where the name comes from. There you go, teaching you a little bit of history. But we are underway, ladies and gentlemen. The Copenhagen Wolves are going to be the blue team, and Gambit Gaming are as the red team. And doesn't look like we're going to have any level 1 shenanigans.
At the moment, no, the two teams are setting up very defensively and just positioning themselves as human wards. If you're not providing vision or information, you're not doing anything. And that's what these two teams are doing. What it does see at the moment is that it's going to be Bjergsen versus Alexic in this mid lane. So Alex is feeling confident and going toe-to-toe with Zed. Obviously, he's going to have that range advantage early on, which will help him out. But once Zed hits level 6, beware of that death mark.
Just going to have to prepare my own voice pack here. Welcome, summoners. 30 seconds until minions spawn.
Yeah, good voiceover.
See?
Good voiceover.
See, I'm building up for it. Maybe.
Riot, please.
I mean,
Riot,
yeah.
please. Give, oh my lord, instead of
Minions
pentakill.
have spawned.
There we go. So I think it is on its way back. You can see that Edward and Genja, they're setting up towards the top lane. We are going to see the 2v1 situation. Godbro going to have to do the best that he can to deal with this pentakill Sona. And obviously all the pokers they're going to be putting down.
So it's going to be the Wolves going down for the Wolves. And the Wraiths going down for the
Russians. The Wraiths for the Russians?
Trying to think of something to call Alex, but really couldn't remember the name of that skin.
So we'll see how this game pans out. I like the ganking power that Cho'Gath has early as long as those ruptures can land. But we'll see how Svenskeren can pull it off. It's a slightly different jungler to what we've been seeing out of him. He does tend to have those all-in Xin Zhao, Jarvan 4 types. And obviously Cho is just a little bit more controlled than that.
Well, interestingly, you know, we thought we were going to get some lane switches going, and we do have the 2v1s, but Alex is actually going up against Bjergsen here.
Yeah, so, you know, we'll see how that pans out. He does have exhaust, so if Bjergsen jumps onto him, he's going to be able to exhaust him up and reduce a lot of that damage, which will play into his favor. At the moment, he's actually got a very good CS advantage over Bjergsen, using those lay wastes to perfection.
Yeah, and we'll see how it works out as well, because Genji's gone flash exhaust as well. The Tess instead, he's gone towards the barrier, not really anything he needs to exhaust from the opposition. Nobody really going to be diving on him apart from Diamond, maybe.
So Diamond and Darien, they're going to be sort of the dive buddies, and when both of them throw their ultimates on, remember that magic damage over time is going to be very, very good. And when you add that with the Defile damage, that is just a pure AoE, we will melt you like a knife through hot butter type of team composition. And it's going to depend on Gambit surviving for a long time. Darien is going to get rooted up.
He is going to get the grasping roots on, but just slices and dices away. I want to know, you know, what happens when Renekton meets Nasus? They've both got their ultimates running. Do they fight each other? Or do they, you know, despite the fact they're on the same team, or do they just carry on fighting?
Well, at the minute, this is just like brotherly anti-love. They'll be yelling and screaming and going, Mom, he's being mean to me.
Does that mean Alex is the mummy?
He's the daddy, actually.
Who's
quite
the
literally,
daddy?
quite literally.
Yeah, literally. So, as it is, you can see the lanes are stacking out. We do have Deficio and the Test down in this bottom lane. That is going to be on Varus and Zyra, and they're going to be keeping Darien as pinned as they can. Let's see if Deficio tries to throw out those grasping roots. I expect they will do. Tries to throw a bit of damage towards him. He's already taken half the health, but he's going to be able to slice and dice as much damage as he
Possibly can.
Yeah, possibly can. That was the words I was after right there. Godbro taken very low in this top lane as well by Genja and Edward. Expect to see them poking towards there, but Svenskeren comes in to give them a break.
Godbro's definitely going to have a much more difficult time CSing under the tower than Renekton's going to, because Renekton is a lot more controlled in terms of the damage he can put down and also understanding when he can last hit. That damage over time poison is a little bit more difficult to control when you need to add in the tower damage as well, and you can see it being represented by the CS at the moment.
Yes, Godbro is definitely going to have problems in that top lane. You can see, oh, it's going to be the Test they're trying to dive onto. They do manage to dive, flash and stun, and it's going to be Diamond coming in. First blood goes down, Diamond Prox picks it up.
And that is what happens when you have Renekton and Nasus together. They just shut you down completely. The pressure that they can apply, the wither into the slice and dice, and plus that stun that Renekton can put down is just very, very powerful. We didn't even see the Test actually using his red pot there, that fortitude. So he was convinced he was going to die, had barrier, and just said, look, I'm going to go down, so let me lose it.
Well, as soon as he flashed, then, you know, he forced the flash out of Darien as well. It's like, well, I'm stunned. I'm dead. Alex Ichso is going to have Deathmark going down on him if Bjergsen hits level 6 in time, but he does not. And instead did use that red pot and went all in at level 5. And, you know, if he was watching Wicked, he would have learned, don't go all in at level 5. You got to wait for 6.
You need to wait for 6, need to wait for that death mark. Ignite was burned, but Flash is available. Crucially, though, he burned Flash and Exhaust from Alexic and forced him out of the lane. So the next time he goes aggressive with that death mark, he may actually have enough to shut him down.
You do see the Wraiths being stolen away. Svenskeren and Bjergsen went in and stole them away from the jungle. And Diamond won't be too happy with that one, having to use a bit of lane tax to hold off that mid lane. Meanwhile, this top lane is being pressured continually by Edward and Genja. Svenskeren once again having to come at the top here, shown by that ward to just hold off and keep Godbro in this game. You can see in terms of CS, he's falling desperately behind Darien.
And this is the second time that Svenskeren's needed to come up to this top lane just to help keep Godbro alive. Bjergsen's got that temporary boost of power with that Elixir of Fortitude. He's got his ultimate, he's going on Alex.
Now he's got the death mark and the rupture's going to come through. Alex Inch is completely screwed right now, and that's going to be the lateways there. And maybe he's going with that strategy once again to, I am now in the All-Stars, I'm going to feed Bjergsen.
Well, we'll see how this matchup plays. What does play into Alex's favor is the fact that he will scale so incredibly well. The longer this game goes, you will never be able to count out his damage, but Alex still does not have Requiem. So the one thing that was very important about that dive is they've delayed that Requiem, that ultimate from Karthus, a couple of more minutes, which buys the rest of the Wolves some extra breathing room.
Yeah, it's actually going to buy a lot of breathing room for Bjergsen. He's probably going to hit 7 before Alex Inch sneaks into level 6. So that's a big problem for them right now. You can see the pressure, it's still really being relayed in here, but Gambit, they're not really pressuring on towards that turret.
No, they're just trying to deny Singed right now. So this is something we've seen from a number of teams. You can either push the tower down, rotate around, and try get map control, or, in this particular situation, deprive your opponent of experience, of levels, and of gold. And 9 CS at 8 minutes, that's averaging like 1.5 creeps per minute. That's something you seldom see at this level of play.
And that's already put him nearly 800 gold behind Darien, who he's really going to be up against come late game. And that's a bit of a problem for him right now because it's not happening the same way. Blue buff has been given across to Alex Inch. We'll see how long he manages to keep hold of that because Bjergsen is going to have that ultimate available in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the death mark from Bjergsen's Z is on a very low cooldown at level 1. It's 115 seconds, so every 2 minutes. And that's just going to get shorter the longer, the more ranks he puts into that. So we'll see how aggressive he goes. Importantly for Alex, he does have his Requiem available. So if anybody gets caught out or oversteps their bounds a little bit, they may be in trouble.
Yep, we'll see whether he try and make some plays here. You can see Godbro still very low in this top lane. Not seeing Diamond though. He's going towards that bottom lane instead. And that turret now is starting to be worked down. Godbro very low now in this top turret. He's going to have to be helped out, but they're going aggressive in the bottom lane. You can see Requiem's going to come out. He's going to be able to pick up an assist here because the test goes down. It's actually the kill that Alex Inch gets.
So well played to Alex. He's going to bounce back. Not only has he kept up relatively well in CS, he's now got that kill on the board. And the fact that that kill was on the AD carry means that Gambit are going to be able to take control of the Dragon at another early time. This is something that the team does incredibly well in all of their matches. Positioning, vision, and a number advantage. Easy Dragon.
Seems to be working very well for them. They're going to get the top turret. In fact, no, they chose to froze that one out. Genja could have took the last 2 shots and taken that turret down. They've chose to leave it there purposely. Instead, we do see the Dragon, of course, going down. Alex Inch taking the damage. They're going to try and turn this one around. Wither goes on towards Bjergsen. Just keeps him away. Uses that Spirit Fire to clear the lane.
Bjergsen was sniffing out another kill. He wanted to get in range for that death mark, but the Wither managed to slow him down just enough to prevent that happening. So not only do they lose the Dragon, they also lose that top lane tower. Close to a 4,000 gold lead in favor of Gambit right now. Copenhagen Wolves, they put their duo lane to the top.
He keeps on diving towards it. He's baited out the exhaust already. And just as the exhaust finished, Deathmark goes down. Bjergsen's going to get the kill. Flashes away from it. Realizes that no Requiem has just been used. He's safe.
And Bjergsen did so well to wait for that exhaust. He timed it out a couple seconds, then jumped on as it was wearing off. Manages to pick himself up the second kill, but Alex is keeping up in CS. That's the important thing. Even though he's killed him twice and he's been out of the lane for that amount of time, he's only 10 creeps behind. Whereas we look at our top laners, there's a 25 CS difference between Singed and Renekton. And with a Kindle Gem and that chain armor, Godbro's going to be in trouble.
But look at Genja, the damage he's been able to put down towards Godbro there. He's going to clear out this bottom wave. And, interestingly, it's the fact that Alex Inch actually picked Karthus into the Z. He knew he was going to be up against it. He knew he was probably going to lose the lane, but it wasn't the lane he was worried about. It's the end game he's really thinking about. He can win the game for his team.
That's correct. Lose your lane, win the game. That is the strategy right here. But it's because of what it's going to offer in the team fight phase. They know the towers will be down. They know that there's going to be 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 engagements. And Karthus is going to offer more to your team than Zed will in that regard. Because Zed can pop one person. But if he's popping Karthus, his damage is still going to come out as long as they position correctly. And that's why he picked Karthus. From beyond the grave, his DPS still goes down. And Bjergsen's found Edward.
Edward having to force the flash away from there. Rupture did come down from Svenskeren. but Bjergsen couldn't quite finish him off and avoided the damage. Let's look across the board. You can see Alexic has fell behind a little bit beyond Bjergsen in terms of CS. Obviously, the gold advantage will be with Bjergsen because he has those 2 kills. It's just 500 gold towards him, but look at the difference in the top lane. It's over 1,000 gold already built up. Godbro just 27 CS to Darian's 63.
Very big difference right now, and Godbro's going to be relying entirely on his Insanity Potion for those statistics to help him in team fights, and that's on a fairly long cooldown, give or take. Double checking now. That's actually not too bad. It's about 1.5 minutes, so we'll see how that pans out. From the side, though, it does look like Diamondprox and Darian are coming to play with Bjergsen.
Yeah, they seem to be having a little bit of fun together, the dog and the crocodile, but instead, it looks like the crocodile's going to stay in his natural environment and stick around the river.
So he's going to be able to just swim himself back up to top lane and try find the mad chemist of Singed to play with. 30 CS advantage, and Godbro not having a very good time with Singed. If, however, he can get himself towards that Rod of Ages or some additional statistics, it's definitely going to help him out. But he has found Darian.
He has found Darian, and well, Godbro, he's popped that ultimate, and there you go. The Insanity Potion, as you mentioned, is going to be used every time that fight gets remotely close to happening. And Darian didn't really want a piece of it just yet, but he does burn it down, which means we might see Diamond taking a return visit to that top lane in a second.
So that Insanity Potion felt a little bit premature from Godbro. He's got Ghost and Flash as summoners, remember, so he's not really looking to get kills with like a Ghost Ignite type of build. And Darian has prioritized HP and then armor, so that Poison Trail is really going to be chunking him down fairly hard as his magic resist numbers are not that high just yet. We'll see how well Godbro plays that lane out, because at the moment, Darian is playing fairly passive against him.
Well, the Diamond is heading down towards the bottom now. He's going to see Svenskeren, though. Instead, looks like he's heading towards Bjergsen, who's just warded out that river bush, and he gets spotted straight out. So they know they have a 3-on-2 advantage in this bottom lane now.
And we'll see if they want to pick this fight. We know that Gambit are not afraid to go aggressive, and Deficio messes that grasping route out completely.
He's going to land the ultimate. The crescendo comes back out, but look at that bullet time landing across him. Darian will get chopped on. Svenskeren's the one that picks up the kill there, feasting him down.
That feels like a smart cast failure from Deficio, but he manages to make up for it with that knocks up Gambit, Genja, and Edward into the air, and then, of course, following it up with Tessa's Chain of Corruption. We've seen some great chains coming out of them earlier today, locking up multiple members of the team. What we do see, though, is the Ninja moving to the top lane. Bjergsen wants to pick up some blood on Darian. 2 assists, 0's death, and here they go.
Remember, he's never really on his own. He's going to get dived on. The Deathmark comes through. The Requiem could follow through if he gets enough damage on towards Godbro. Is it, though? I don't think it is. The Ignite's going to be running. There's no point using it. It's wasted.
There's not enough ability power from Requiem. With level 1 and the AP that it's got, it's only hitting for around 300 damage before resistances. And with the fact that Singed had that, regen boost from his ulti if he wanted to, it was going to work out well. But we do see Godbro sort of farming behind the turret, and Diamondprox is just going to run up there and say, well, would you mind leaving?
Yeah, and he's actually going to put the Wither down and maybe go aggressive on this one. He could try and go there. If he actually landed a Q, a couple of shots, Alex could turn it over the Requiem, but they're going to save it again. Remember, the Dragon will be spawning in around about 2 or 3 minutes' time, so that's what they want.
So well played by Copenhagen Wolves to at least pick up that kill in the top lane and get a little bit of extra CS for Godbro. He's closed that gap now from 30 to a mere 13. So that's a very, very big difference, and it's definitely going to be helping him out. You can see with the damage that Bjergsen's putting down, they can make some plays and pick up some kills. I want to see how they work in team fights, because we've been seeing the combo of Godbro, Shen, following Stand United into a team fight. This time around, it's going to be a lot more simple. He's literally going to run in there and fling someone over his shoulder.
Since that 1v1 has turned around, Godbro has definitely worked his way back into this very well. Darian kind of needed the help a little bit more from Diamondprox. He's still got that 20 CS advantage, but Godbro's definitely working his way back into this one. Svenskeren's helped him out against Darian. We do see Darian possibly heading back down towards the Dragon. It has just about spawned, I believe.
Yeah, correct. So it is alive there. You can see the little image on the minimap, and we'll see if they're going to fight for this. There's actually vision for both teams in and around the Dragon, so they're both aware that it's up. There's no global presence in terms of Stand United or teleports from either of the champions, so we'll see who has better positioning. Diamondprox is placing additional wards in and around, and you know that Gambit like to control the Dragons. So Copenhagen Wolves should be thinking about this, should be talking about this, and positioning for an engage if they would like to challenge.
Seeing whether they can counter with anything. Spirit Fire down there. Edward comes in with Darian, and they should be taking this one away. The rest of Wolves are going to react to this, though. You just see up the top there, Bjergsen, he takes a wither from Diamond, and they do back off this one. Diamond had already used his ultimate as well.
So he was burned in the top lane. There's a fight between Godbro and Darian.
Yeah, Darian's got his ultimate running, as does Godbro, but it's back and forward action, very even between the two as well. Remember, with Bjergsen there, he can throw that ultimate straight on towards Alex Ich, and he doesn't want a piece of it. Instead, he's gone towards Diamond. The exhaust comes out. They might try and turn this one back on towards Bjergsen. He's taking a hell of a lot of damage. He's going to try and get away from him, but the Alex Ich flashes in with a Defile running. Alex Ich is going to go down, but it's 1-for-1 straight exchange, and Diamond Prox also gets in there, but it's a very even fight in that lane.
So it was very even, but I have to question Bjergsen. He used his ultimate on Nasus instead of Karthus. So if they managed to get Karthus down earlier, they may have been able to trade somewhat more efficiently in that particular setup. We're looking at the bottom lane for a second. It's something we haven't looked at much of at all. 0-2-1 for the test. He's been shut down by Darien and Diamond Prox when they've gone for those ganks, but he's farming well. He's only 15 CS behind, and he does have that Blade of the Ruin King completed.
Yeah, Darien, it tells me that he's actually starting to struggle in that top lane. I don't think he can fight Godbro right now in a one-on-one because he's got that Rod of Ages pretty much complete. We saw that fight happening earlier on, and Darien actually was coming out worse.
Yeah, it's because of the fact that his magic resist simply isn't high enough. He's prioritized to survive against Zed and against Varus, and obviously that poison trail is just going to chunk him down. But the damage onto the test was great there. The double up as well as an auto attack really chunking him down.
That Bloodthirster doing work right now against the test, and that's going to force him to stay quite a distance away. Tribush Ward will show that you can see Svenskeren coming in there, but they haven't actually reacted to him just yet. Of course, Edward does have that crescendo available along with Genji's bullet time, so it seems they're not too worried. This will definitely give them something to think about, though, because Bjergsen's heading down.
So Requiem was available if they were going to get jumped on. You can anticipate them trying to focus damage on the test to pick up a kill. But now with 4 members of the Wolves on the Dragon, they are standing on top of a ward. So Gambit are aware of this. This is going to be a 3 versus 4 because look at the positioning for Deficio on the test.
Oh, Genji actually interrupts himself there on the bullet time, used it off. Wolves, they hit and run very well there on the Dragon.
So I think Genji was trying to steal the Dragon with the bullet time there, realized it wasn't going to happen, and then as he seen Zed, he went, oh, I actually don't want to get jumped on, so decided to run away. But ultimate blown, and the second Dragon of the game actually goes to the Wolves, and they, to be honest, just sauntered in there and picked it up, so well played to them.
Yeah, free Dragon for them. 5-3 currently in kills, and gold is just still with Gambit. Oh, that's going to be a nice route, and Edward's going to get turned on. The Chain of Corruption lands. He tries to throw out the crescendo, and the barrier comes out from the test. That's going to bait the Genji in. The test will go down. Can they get Genji in return, though? You're going to see the Grasping Roots come back in there. Svenskeren feasts on him. One more hit. Will it be enough? Gets the Rupture in there. Gets exhausted. He's going to go on towards the turret. He's gone too deep for this one. He's going to get caught out. Diamond's going to come around. One more tower hit should be enough. Diamond Prox comes around, lands the Q. One more strike, and Diamond picks up the kill. It's a 2-for-2.
2-for-2 trade, and the Copenhagen Wolves need to focus on Genja before Edward. They threw everything they had at the support, and it just allowed Genja to right-click them to death the entirety of that battle. An even trade at the end of the day. Good play there from Svenskeren, again landing the ruptures that he needed to land, and even through the exhaust, he managed to secure that kill. So good trade for them, and they'll be relatively happy. The problem there is that the money is not going to the test. He's relying only on CS and those assists right now. He'd very much like a kill.
Yeah, the problem there also was that Alex Ich got one of those kills as well. He's now 3-for-3, and it's working out well. Darian's going to walk straight in towards Godbro. Godbro just flicks him back. Just like, nope, just toying with you there.
You shall not slice, you shall not dice, and throws him back into the river. Puts him back in his natural habitat, as it were. Godbro, he's pulled himself back in, but he has not fallen behind in CS 139. Now he's been caught up by both Alex and Diamond.
Well, let's see what he can do here. Alex Ich with the Defile running, trying to get those layways down, and now he runs back in towards him and says, I'm not worried about a 2v1. Godbro in his natural habitat. He's happy on this champion, but Darien, he's actually chasing down Bjergsen.
So well played by Bjergsen. He actually baited out the ultimate there from Darien, forced him to do it, and now he's gone in.
Put the death mark down. Can he turn it in towards it? The Ignite does go down. Sunfire Cape is not going to be enough to save him. But it is, and he can't dive because he could have got stunned up on the turret.
Yeah, so he didn't want to take that stun to the face and take turret hits. But interesting again from Bjergsen, throwing the ultimate while Darien's ultimate was up. Diamond Prox realizes that it's down now. He's moving to the top lane, and Bjergsen wisely is backing off. So he won't be in much trouble as he's managed to get away safely before Diamond is there.
So blue buff is back up, and it looks like it's going to be given across to Bjergsen for those cooldowns once again. And he's going to come around. So let's see if they collapse on towards his top lane. We do see Diamond and Darien both up there, ready and waiting to go. Instead, they are just going to back off. So let's have a look at the lane changes. We've had a couple of changes around. The duo lanes stay down that bottom lane for a long time, but Godbro, he's been moved in towards this mid lane against Alex Ich.
So at the moment, Godbro, it's just a matter of where he can have the least pressure. He was pushing the top lane quite significantly and didn't want to overextend more than he needed to. And with the fact that the tower is still there in the mid lane, I feel like Copenhagen Wolves wanted to defend that tower more than anything else. So they just said, look, Godbro, play a meat shield, hang around as long as you can, use that ultimate to regen and just stay in that lane and protect that vision and that zone of control for us, because they are a tower down, which is why Zed has been moved to the top lane to push, but the Chain of Corruption's on Genja.
Chain of Corruption does land, but the crescendo follows straight up. It's going to be Genja this time focused on. They're not making the same mistake. They do manage to take him down. Requiem will come out, and he's now got enough ability power to drop down the test there. Can they turn it back around? And remember, the Requiem helps all across the map, and it looks like it's going to be Bjergsen will be the target. He's going to try and flash for the kill, but instead he's run away and he's baited him out. There goes the glue coming out. Is it going to be enough from the Godbro? He's going to get withered. Darian's coming back in towards this one. He has managed to regen a couple of hit points. Will it be enough? He could try and get the stun on towards Godbro. Yes, he does. Here comes Diamond though. The wither is back up. He can slice and dice, and he's trying to keep in front of Godbro, slowly but surely working him down. Flicks him in towards the tower. The poison. The tower hit comes in, and Godbro gets the kill. Fantastic play.
Such great play from Godbro. He got ahead of Darian, then turned around to fling him backwards, throw him towards the tower. Great micromanagement under all of that CC and all of that pressure to at least pick up a kill to get away with it. Bjergsen was taken out before, and in that bottom lane, we've seen again a development of the strategy, the Tess and Tefisho focusing down Genja, but underestimating the amount of damage that Requiem actually had.
Beautiful, beautiful play there. Alex Ich, of course, picked up that kill. Now that Zhonya's Hourglass is completed, it's going to give him a bit more ability power, and they're putting pressure on towards this middle turret. They may be able to chunk it down here, because remember, Diamond, with them Qs, he will be doing a heck of a lot of damage. There's the glue going down, dodges out of the rupture, and forces him away there, throws the wither on towards Godbro just to infuriate him as he tries to put his poison trail down. Didn't get that last CS.
Just missed that last one. I think we're being a little overly critical to point that out, but
it was because of the wither. It's good play.
In terms of that mid tower, though, they managed to save it, and I think that's the crucial thing. Getting in there, throwing enough bodies at the tower to prevent Gambit from picking up their second tower of the game, and it's just going to prolong this laning phase even further. Probably the longest laning phase we've actually had out of all of the games this weekend long. 23 minutes, and we still haven't seen a full-on sort of 5v5 engagement, and both teams being very happy just to continue CSing. Godbro playing very cheeky.
I mean, it's pretty strange to me. A wall of pain's going to go down towards Godbro. There's a lot of late waste actually finding its target there on Godbro. Struck a good half of his hit points off. It seems strange to me that they did go for Darian on towards Bjergsen, because Bjergsen was having such an easy time of it against Alex Ich, and he's actually losing out. Whereas Godbro was actually having a pretty easy time of it against Darian. So it seems like they've changed the lanes to counter themselves.
Yeah, we'd have to talk to them and find out what the thinking is about that and why they decided to do that, because what it has also allowed is Alex just a free farm. He's never going to be under pressure from a Singed. What has happened though, Dragon has respawned, Copenhagen Wolves have 4 of the members down here, a little bit all over the place, 2 higher up the river, 2 lower down, and Vision is on the Drake. Currently the advantage is for Gambit because they can see it and they have the numbers advantage, but will the Wolves challenge?
Looks like they're thinking of a trade here. Bjergsen's still stuck in that top lane, and actually looks like Darian is going to respond and go back up towards there. They took the Dragon down, no problem, so this time it's Gambit. So it's 2 for 1 in terms of Dragons between the teams, and Darian does go back up towards Bjergsen, gets the stun on him in this top lane, and Bjergsen can't win that trade.
No, Bjergsen decides to jump away to safety. He was thinking about tanking it up for as long as possible. Darian actually pops his ultimate to do 2 things. Clear the way very, very quickly, and also put a lot of extra damage down onto Bjergsen. So if Bjergsen stuck around, he would have been able to pick up that kill. Why as he backs away? Godbro eats another wall of pain, and those little skittles don't taste so nice when they're coming from comms.
Yeah, those laneways definitely starting to do a lot of damage now from Alex Ich. He's built up past that sticky period, it is really. Look at that, slice and dice him from Darian. He's clearing those waves much quicker than before with that Sunfire Cape on him. He's got the Mercury Treads as well. Bjergsen has backed off. It looks like he's going to return back to the top lane now. So, second Blade of the Rune King also complete, as well as a Black Cleaver now for Bjergsen. He's going to have a heck of a lot of damage. He may be able to take Darian down now.
So we'll see how that Armor Shred works against the Sunfire Cape. It is obviously going to help him out a lot. But talking about that second Blade of the Rune King, that is a very, very important pickup, because both Renekton and Nasus are melee champions who need to be in range if you're chasing you down. And if both Zed and Varus can throw their blade actives onto respective champions, slow them down and get away to safety with that additional movement speed, it's definitely going to pay dividends in that sort of kiting teamfight battle that they'll be wanting to have.
Yeah, you can see Darian does return to lane. Let's see if he wants to take a piece of this. Doesn't look like it. going to be Darien keeping them at bay. Let's have a look towards their mid lane. Of course, the turret did just go down. Diamond Prox took down that mid turret. Does make it 2-0 in turrets for Gambit right now, which continues to keep their gold advantage at 5,000. And Alex Nitch now finally coming back in towards that mid lane. First turret of the game for the Wolves as well. That's the bottom turret. And Genja, Gambit seem to me they're happy to hold these lanes as long as possible right now. They're not rushing to finish a game.
So the Copenhagen Wolves, I hope they understand how far they are behind right now, because if they feel like they're close, they may, lose a team fight that they expect to win. Bjergsen looks with it, but he's not as he jumps in on Darien.
He puts the death mark down and he's going to go aggressive. He may well be able to chunk him out, but the death mark doesn't turn it. Darien does use his ultimate at the last minute, but Bjergsen had already turned.
So he manages to get away, and like I said, in that particular engagement, there was a graphical bug which has been resolved thanks to that ultimate. Bjergsen is no longer being permanently with it,
yeah.
But very importantly, he forces the ultimate out of Darien, which is on a much longer cooldown than his, and he forces him out of that particular lane. So he's going to carry on CSing and trying to put some additional pressure on this top lane tower. Gambit 2-1 in terms of the towers, and they've currently got map pressure, because of course they've got all that extra vision.
So another turret going down, and that does make it 3,000 gold difference between the two. Bjergsen is there, but there is a dog and a crocodile bearing down on him. If he sticks around in that Troy bush a little bit longer, he's going to go around the backside of Darien. He knows Darien's ultimate's down, and his ultimate is now back available.
So we'll see if he can pick this one up. Blade of the Rune King is about to come off cooldown. Bjergsen is waiting for that. He's going to need a full burst. In the mid lane, though, we've seen Tafisha's ultimate being used just to defend it. There's the jump on Darien.
Deathmark goes down. He should have enough to pop in this time around. Yes, he does. Second time at trying, or effectively fourth time at trying. Bjergsen does finally take down Darien.
So thinking about that, you have to remember that he did that engagement a couple minutes ago. It was all part of the plan. He wanted that to happen. Now with the numbers advantage, the rest of the Wolves are going to try put some pressure on this mid lane, but look at the wave clear there. From that Spirit Fire and the Defile, it just shreds minions, and they can save their tower for a couple minutes longer.
Diamond Prox thinking of going in towards Godbro there, seeing if he can get a little bit of poke. Bjergsen's getting some free push along that top line. Genja is coming back in towards the mid lane, so Gambit's starting to gather now, but Alex Ichi is going to have to go up to the top and deal with Bjergsen.
So Deathmark is almost available for Bjergsen. If Alex sticks around, expect Bjergsen to jump onto his head and try pick up his 5th kill of the game. That gold difference is now only 3,000 gold, thanks to that tower going down and the extra kill in the side of the Wolves. But at the time being, things are still very, very close, and we still haven't seen a concerted team fight. This has been little skirmish battles, little one-on-ones and 2v2s, and the Wolves, they're fairly happy to play the game, but it feels like the Gambit are too. They're just going to say, well, we'll happily farm because we feel that our late game's going to be better.
I kind of feel like I'm watching Evil Geniuses, to be honest, because we're nearly at the 30-minute mark and not a great deal has happened.
No, not at all. And it's one of those things where, you know what, the game, it means quite a lot to Gambit. They do want to, that preferred seed of going into the playoffs first. Obviously, they're not making any mistakes right now. It's definitely different to what we've seen out of them earlier in the day as well. So we'll see how this particular match plans out, but right now, it's still close enough.
Well, pride is definitely at place here, and they want to get that first place. Wall of Pain getting thrown down on towards Godbro. Godbro does throw him back in, but the Defile is running. It looks like he may well have enough damage. The lay waste is not quite doing enough damage that he'd like to on Godbro, and he's just slowly being picked off. Here comes the test, comes back in. They're going to get the assist just at the right time. Sonia's Hourglass, that's just going to be a pain in the backside. He's flashed! Can he get away from it? He throws the Wall of Pain back down. The Ghost, the glue! And there goes Chain of Corruption to finish him off. Nearly got away with it.
But that flash managed to get the Ghost out of Singed as well as the Chain of Corruption out of the test just because of the timing. Such great play. The top lane, Darien has stunned up Bjergsen.
Darien goes in for this one. He has got his ultimate running. That Deathmark is going to pop, though. It's going to put a lot of damage down. And Bjergsen once again picks it up just before the dog returns to lane. He's going to come back in. Will he throw the Wither in towards Bjergsen? No, he can't win that duel.
Yeah, Diamond is like a dog with a bone chasing Bjergsen, but he's never going to be able to catch it, unfortunately, because of how mobile Bjergsen is with that Shadow Clone and his flash. What it does mean Svenskeren and the rest of the crew have put pressure on this mid lane, and they pick up their 3rd turret of the game.
It seems to me that as soon as that Ryler's Crystal Staff was turned out by Godbro, they've just said, right, time to actually play. We have our build ready, and they've taken down that mid turret. So gold advantage is slowly but surely being clawed back by the Copenhagen Wolves. They're just 1,500 behind now, and they're going to steal away that blue buff as well from the Gambit.
So making sure that Alex does not get the Gambit's blue buff and get all the cooldown reduction and mana regen. And at the moment, with positioning on Dragon, Copenhagen Wolves are going to see if they can pick up the next Drake. It's something that we've seen contested between the two teams, but Bjergsen, he's just split pushing at the moment.
He can't fight this one. The turret's going to go down. Deathmark is available in just a moment, and Bjergsen's going to shred Alex Itch straight down there and just walk away like nothing ever happened. I don't think Requiem's quite got enough on it. No, and that is another safe kill for Bjergsen.
Even more impressive, Bjergsen didn't even need Deathmark for that. He only used the active of that Blade of the Ruined King and auto attacks. Keep in mind, he still doesn't even have spell vamp, lifesteal. So if he even had a Vamp Scepter outside of the Blade of the Ruined King, he would have been getting even more life back from something like that.
Absolutely disgraceful. A 17-year-old should not be that good at League of Legends, but he is. He's definitely a fantastic player right now in that mid lane. Bjergsen really making everyone else look bad at this game.
Well, he's fantastic. Why not? There was a couple of Reddit threads. Man, it's been a long day. Reddit threads talking about like who would be the MVP for Europe or for NA over the course of the season. And you'd have to think that Bjergsen would be hotly contested for one of those positions, if not the best player of the league, because he's consistently destroying arguably the best in the business here in the LCS.
He's one of the players that really can carry his team as well to victory a number of times. Struggled, though, against Evil Genius's Syndra last game. And as it stands, Gambit, they are being very, very aggressive in this mid lane. Make It Rain comes down. They do manage to get the pump. Here comes Bjergsen running down mid lane, but Alex Itch is also there, but he's being separated. Godbro's jumped on towards Alex Itch. They're going to turn around, try and get on towards Alex Itch. He's had to use the exhaust, which is important because now Bjergsen's just off the side there. The rest of the team, Crescendo comes across, but Chain of Corruption immediately replies. There's going to be the bullet time. That didn't really land either. This is very, very close between the two teams. Darian is going to get the death mark. That's going to pop him down. Bjergsen picks that kill up. And now they can turn full on aggression in towards Gambit. They're going to try and catch on towards them. Deficio thought about getting a grasping roots off there. Insanity Potion still running on Godbro as well. But the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves turned a very good fight there against Gambit.
Such great kiting play there from Copenhagen Wolves. They simply didn't stand tightly together enough or to take too many auto attacks from Diamond Prox and Darian. So a very, very good positional play. That's the reason they won that team fight. Bjergsen, he's just going to go straight back to split pushing up in the top lane. He's effectively playing like we see Xpeke play Zed. He might get encroached upon by Diamond and Edward, but he can pop one of them because he does have his ultimate available.
There's an Oracle on Edward as well. Maybe even go towards Diamond Props. He didn't use his ultimate in that last fight, remember, so he does have that death mark available if anyone were to step in towards that death bush that he's currently residing in. Oh, he sees him. He's going to be tanking up. I'm not too sure if he's got enough to take Diamond down, though, because he's got that Age of the Legion as well as the Glacial Shroud. Yeah, he sees, just tries to get the poke, and he got the gold as well.
How cheeky is that? Steals away the double golem. He was doing the math in his head, I feel. Clicked on Diamond Prox and said, well, he's got the locket, he's got this much armor, this much HP, can I do it? And in the end decided that Diamond was going to be able to shine bright like only Diamond can. And he decided to back off.
You've had that song in your head all goddamn day, and he finally puts it into the commentary. Would you believe it? Well, at least Rihanna would be pleased. But as it stands, Godbro, he's been split pushing that bottom lane. The top lane was being split pushed by Svenskeren, and now they got a problem to deal with because they were moving up to deal with Bjergsen, but it doesn't matter because he's gone, and now Godbro is pushing on towards his bottom turret. They've got to rotate around as quick as possible.
So well played by Copenhagen Wolves. They're playing the map, but they need to be very, very careful of a 5-man stack from Gambit. It's a scary, scary prospect, and they don't have the numbers to really defend an entire wave. However, if Cho'Gath and Zyra get some good control of those minions, they can clear waves very, very quickly. So that's where the focus will be in terms of defending a Gambit siege. But Godbro decides to back away as soon as Genja shows his face in lane.
It's a very large cheeky chappy of Svenskeren as well, and Gentleman Cho'Gath. And ooh, look at that. Bjergsen thought about going down, but they may go for this one. We see Godbro, is he going to move towards this one? Do they want the fight? They have a giant creep wave in that top lane. He's going to continue pushing, and Alex, Itch, and co. looks like they're heading towards the Baron.
So it looks like they want to apply pressure here on Baron Nashor. There are a couple of wards around, and Copenhagen Wolves are going to be aware of this. Take a look at the rough shots going up. This is going to be a 4 versus 5. Copenhagen Wolves are thinking about it, and Godbro is actually moving over towards them. So keep an eye on that mini-map as to who is going where. The moment Godbro steps closer to that mid lane, you can anticipate a fight. But Bjergsen has the ability ability to pop anybody. He can remove one of those members from the game. He might find Genja.
Yeah, if Genja was stepped across that way, then he would cause problems. He may try and come around the backside of him, you know. Look at this. He's sat ready and waiting. He has got Guardian Angel. Now Alexic has shown himself in the top lane. They've just pinged him. They said, he's up there. Let's go for this one. And Genja, realizing the danger, is backed away, but he's going to be back in lane. They haven't gone for it. Instead, they're going to put pressure in the mid lane, and they should be able to tank this one through. Instead, they don't go for it. They're keeping the wave pressure, but the pressure is almost certainly coming from the Wolves right now.
Yeah, they're the ones applying it all. They've got a gold lead now, thanks to the split pushing, thanks to the Dragon that they picked up a little bit earlier as well. And now, you know, this is going to be their 5th turret of the game. They have a 3-tower advantage over Gambit. They are simply playing the map better. Gambit don't necessarily have the best sieging team. You know, melee champions plus Misfortune, it needs to get very close range to deal damage to towers.
Oh, look at this.
God, bro, he's managed to catch Diamond Prox, thrown him backwards, and here's the fight.
The bait comes out. There's going to be the Chain of Corruption landing onto Diamond, but they're throwing everything towards the tank right now. You can see Darian, he's gone very deep. Godbro tries to get in there, tries to cause as much problem. Is the poison tick going to be enough? And now Bjergsen joins the fight. They're coming around. Alexic with that defile uses the Zhonya's Hourglass, but will he be able to get away from it? No. Deathmark was enough to take him down. Requiem will come out from Alexic, but the rest of the team are not laying down enough damage. And now Genja, he's just off the side. Has used finally bullet time. No! It got instantly interrupted there by the silence from Sven Skaren. Very well played there. And the glue gets on towards Genja. Guardian Angel wasn't popped, but a great fight once again for Copenhagen Wolves, picking up a 2-for-0.
2-for-0, and the kiting power again. Deficio's Stranglethorns knocked up everybody from Gambit. It split them completely. Even though it didn't get a 5-man knockup, it affected 5 players because they couldn't get in range. We were talking about how they're a kiting team and they need to control the map. You can see this in the pickups. Darian's got a Thorn Mail because he's so afraid of Bjergsen and the test that he's just like, well, I need the armor and I need to be able to deal with these 2 guys. What it does mean is everyone else is now going to be focused because they have to leave Darian to last. It's going to take a long time to burst through that much armor and that Thorn Mail.
Well, Genja's Guardian Angel didn't get popped there, but you saw the amount of damage that could come out, and that was the Zhonya's Hourglass, also used up by Alexic. The Requiem followed, and now it looks like Copenhagen Wolves are going to try and take advantage of the situation and push straight on towards the Baron here. Diamond Edward does have that Oracle on, but I'm not too sure he wants to get close to this one because he could get dropped and taken down by Bjergsen incredibly fast. And that is the Baron picked up for free there by the Copenhagen Wolves. Definitely pressure all over Gambit right now.
I really like the item pickup here from Bjergsen as well. We keep talking about the kiting and the ability to control. Godbro has got Riley's Crystal Scepter for the slow, so he's going to be applying, you know, that debuff to the movement speed. Then you have Bjergsen, who's got a Phage and that Giant's Belt, which will most likely become a Frozen Mallet. So it helps him survive the burst that comes down from Karthus, and it gives him the on-hit slow from the Frozen Mallet. The Tess is very close to finishing up his Guardian Angel as well, so he's got a good item advantage over Genja in these upcoming fights. So Copenhagen Wolves looking very, very strong here.
You know, I'd absolutely love to see what Godbro's KDA has been over the last few weeks because he just doesn't die. 105 yet again here.
It's definitely improved. I mean, you think of his Shen performances and just how godlike he is with that. And is his team helping him? But here goes Bjergsen.
They're trying to dive on towards Bjergsen this time around. Deathmark on Genja doesn't quite pop. Oh! His Guardian Angel gets popped and Bjergsen gets away with it. Edward, no, Requiem's going to be enough to finish him off there. Edward was just hanging around thinking, should I steal it? Maybe not.
But very, very importantly, the Guardian Angel is down. Darian's picked the fight and he stunned up the Test.
Darian's trying to get in towards it, has to dodge out the Rupture, and the Chain of Corruption lands on towards him as well, but the rest of the team are going to try and push forward for this one. Remember, that was a Baroned up Bjergsen as well that got pinned out there. Copenhagen Wolves a little bit sloppy on that play.
Yeah, they were a little bit outnumbered, and I don't think they were anticipating the play from Darian to just dive right in there. So they do manage to get away without losing any more players in that mid lane. But the death timers are starting to climb very, very high. 45, 50 seconds for Bjergsen. Slowly ticking down. For the time being, it's Gambit with a little bit of map presence and obviously the numbers advantage.
I just saw Deficio was like, come on, you can do this, Bjergsen. Give him hyping him up there. Because frankly, while Bjergsen went down, he still managed to take Genja's Guardian Angels down in that fight, which is actually a win in that situation because he's back alive in 7 seconds time. And that Guardian Angel, that's a good minute or two away.
So it's a 5-minute cooldown in total, and he just died a little while ago, so he'll need to make sure he brings himself back into this matchup. If they can jump on Genja in the next fight with that death mark, he will go down and it will allow the Test to just clean house with all of his damage. Copenhagen Wolves are stacking up here in the mid lane. They want to make use of the Baron buff for the last third of the time remaining, and we'll see if they can perform a successful siege shot on this mid inner turret.
Well, the poke is there. The rest of Gambit are going to have to start gathering together. They realize Godbro is just off at the side. Edward is trying to poke out a little bit there. But as it stands, Svenskeren, well, he's going to get caught by that wall of pain. Spirit Fire comes down. They just force them away, though, and the siege continues.
So the wall of pain dissuades the Copenhagen Wolves members from moving forward. They don't want to lose that magic resistance and then get shredded by the Sunfire Cape and the ultimates of Nasus and Renekton. So instead, they stayed behind it, they hung out, and they waited. And this is going to be the story of the next couple of minutes, because Copenhagen Wolves, they want to make use of the regen from Baron, and the Guardian Angel is completed for the test. Pay careful attention to Fisio. He's rooted Diamond, but that's not who they want. And Gambit are not feeling happy about this fight.
Yeah, they're going to see that turret getting poked down. The rupture comes down. It was Darian that was caught there, and Svenskeren was just standing by the side of Deficio. Defensive duties for that giant dino there. And Svenskeren, well, he's going to walk away with a cup of tea in hand. The glue gets thrown out. Godbro wants to try and force it. Great interrupt, though, straight away. Wall of Pain and Wither pouring onto Godbro. They didn't want anyone getting flipped.
Yeah, you are not going anywhere with those two slows getting put on you, but it's very important. If Godbro can pull the Wither out early, it'll buy a couple extra seconds of safety for the test to avoid it being on him. And if you look, he hasn't built any additional attack speed outside of that Blade of the Ruined King, so he's relying on his passive and just a couple of those daggers in the blade to really allow multiple on-hits.
So, let's have a look across the board. Let's try and take count of the situation. Gambit, at one point, were 4,000 gold ahead of Copenhagen Wolves. Now, the Wolves are 5,000 gold ahead of Gambit. They are 16-8 up in kills, they are 6-2 up in turrets, and the Dragons trading back and forward very evenly across the board. Alex Ich with Requiem is going to be very strong now. He's got that Rabadon's Death Cap complete, along with the Zhonya's Hourglass, Rod of Ages, and Void Staff. So that Requiem will do a lot of damage if it lands. We are coming up to the 40-minute mark, so one of these big fights will be a decisive fight. Guardian Angel's now picked up by the Tess is going to help him out. He's got Last Whisper along with Bjergsen. They've both got Blade of the Rune King. Infinity Edge also built up by the Tess. He has so much damage if he's left to the side, and being that Bjergsen's going to be the focus, he is going to get that free damage.
So crucially, because of the positioning that we are on in the map, even if Gambit win a very big team fight, it's going to take them a lot longer to get to the opposition side of the map, to take down the inner turret and then the inhibitor turret. If, however, the Copenhagen Wolves pick up a victory, obviously because of how much closer they are to their enemy side of the base, it'll play into their favor. One thing that we do have to point out is the upgrade for Godbro's boots. He's gone for Distortion, and he's run in there onto Alex. With Ghost and Flash and Distortion, the cooldowns are both reduced, and the Wolves, they've caught him out!
They caught on towards Edward there, and he got taken very low. That may well force the fight in towards the bottom turret. Are they going to switch towards the mid turret? You can see just keeping them at bay, both ends there, but it's definitely keeping Gambit guessing here. Edward has gone back. He's going to return back to lane. Full health from the fountain, but, well, Copenhagen Wolves, they're just showing the danger there.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as one Grasping Root lands, you can see how much DPS goes down. Genja does eat, Genja eats one of those Shadow Shurikens to his face, drops a little bit of HP, spins, hanging around, gets a knock up onto Alex. You're going to wait. One of those abilities, you'll hear the team say, go, and all of a sudden, everyone's going to dive. But as long as Bjergsen is split pushing and not there, obviously the Copenhagen Wolves, they're just running interference. They're just trying to keep Gambit in place and allow their split pushing master to keep control of the map.
Yep, Bjergsen pushing back along that top lane. It's actually Genja that's going to deal with him, which is a scary situation for him. Guardian Angels is back available, though, so he's going to feel relatively comfortable. Godbro does return to the bottom lane as well. He shoves that one back on, and everybody in the Copenhagen Wolves prepares for the next fight that will happen, and it's going to be on the Baron.
A lot of money to spend as well. Almost every member with about 1,500 or more gold to spend. So they're just going to head back, earn them, spend some of that hard-earned cash, and just start running back to the respective positions. 30 seconds on the clock for Baron Nashor, 43 seconds on the clock for Dragon. And you can see Gambit, they're starting to ward up in position. This is definitely going to be the next objective, and whoever picks that up, you have to feel will have the power needed to grab an inhibitor.
Gambit realizing the situation, they've quickly shoved straight down that mid lane, trying to clear out as much as they can. They need to try and get across towards that Baron. They've got 8 seconds left. There's an Oracle on Edward. He's trying to clear out any wards. Wolves didn't actually get any of the Oracle, any wards actually around that river, so despite the fact they went back, they didn't make use of their time very well there.
So this was one of the problems they had against Evil Geniuses earlier in the day. Their vision was not necessarily the strongest, but they've caught onto Diamond. He's been flung backwards, and here's the fight from the Wolves.
They're going to have a 5v3 here, because you can see the Baron is actually being fought over. Crescendo comes out. Gambit are actually in the middle of taking the Baron down. Can they get it in time? That's the question. I'm looking for the buff, and there it is. They've picked up the Baron now, and the rest of the team coming around, but they've already lost 2 members, and that is going to be the Diamond and Darian, both taken down. Big, important defensive units there. Copenhagen Wolves are going to push straight up and get the inhibitor.
Now, without the Crocodile and the Dog, the question is, can they defend 5 versus 3? Copenhagen Wolves are making a beeline for this mid lane. They're onto the turret, and it's busy being tanked up by Bjergsen. Not the greatest of targets. He's just going to jump to safety. The turret is down, and their attention is going to be on the inhib. Let's see if a bullet time or a crescendo comes out from Gambit. Wolves may even try finish. They have a numbers advantage here.
They have a tankiness as well, and honestly, I don't think there's really the damage from Gambit to try and prevent them doing this one. You can see, actually, Deathmark goes in. Genja's going to get his Guardian Angel popped, but will it be the death of Bjergsen? He gets away with absolutely nothing. Alex Itch is going to go down. Requiem will surely come out. He's going to pick up 2 targets from this one, maybe 3. No, doesn't get Godbro. He's too tanky, but it holds off the Nexus turrets for just a little while longer.
So that single death, as well as the Requiem, was enough to actually save them from losing more Nexus turrets. But one Nexus turret was killed, as well as the mid turret and that inhibitor. Even though they've got the Baron on a couple of their members, you have to feel that the Wolves are still in the driving seat. They've been split pushing the whole time, and now their minions will do it for them. Their minions will all have additional HP and take control of the map. Gambit are grouped up in the middle, and they might try force a 5 versus 4.
Looks like it's going to be Darian rushing straight down for that Dragon. He may even try and take the bottom turret as well. See what advantage they can take from it. There's a big creep wave in the top lane that somebody's going to deal with from Copenhagen Wolves. It will be the Dragon, so they're trying desperately to keep that gold advantage slightly degraded against the Copenhagen Wolves right now. It's going to be 5,000 gold between them. That bottom wave is also going to get shoved in. Diamond Prox, meanwhile, is keeping Godbro very busy in that mid lane. So, 19-9 now. Copenhagen Wolves with the advantage over Gambit. If only they would have beaten Evil Geniuses, it could have been a fight for 4th place.
Yeah, definitely would have been taking that 4th place, but unfortunately, that isn't the case. What they are doing now is they're almost pushing Fnatic into that 1st place position. I talked about it very, very early on, the damage threats that were coming out of Copenhagen Wolves, and with the Fisher having that cages, like you pick another Leandri's Torment, he's now all of a sudden a lot of their magic damage outside of, you know, Singe just eating that poison trail. Those plants and all the damage that Zyra puts down is also going to need to be a factor to be considered by the Gambit.
Look how aggressive Gambit are being, though, despite the fact that they did really have a fight in their inhibitor turret. They're shoving straight down the mid lane here. They may be able to get this inner turret. Bjergsen was off at the top lane. They realize that fact, and they're going to get in and tank it.
So great play there by Deficio, slowing up at least Diamond Prox on his approach. And of course, the Andrews is going to be hurting them quite hard. Remember, this is going to be a 4 versus 5 if they pick the fight, because in the top lane, Bjergsen's pushing.
Bjergsen's going to carry on pushing, and actually the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves, they're not letting them back off here. Instead, Bjergsen's going to get all of this free time to keep on pushing. The rest of Gambit have to walk the entire way because the Wolves are hot on their heels and going to keep chasing down. They do clear out that wave, though. And, well, the rest of Wolves now, they're following the super minions up the middle.
Yeah, look at the positioning here for the Wolves. They've got them out positioned. Godbro has popped Insanity Potion. Ghost is about to become available for him. It was him that started the fight, not last time. We may see something similar. A massive wave of minions on this bottom lane means the Wolves are rotating around. They've caught out Edward.
They've caught
Look at the damage.
Oh, my word. They can see the volleys coming through. Everything's going thrown back towards him. He's already down at half hit points. He's going to have to be pinpoint accurate with that crescendo if they're to land it this time. Gambit just desperately fighting, fending them off from that mid lane. They ping super minions getting in towards that mid lane, and Copenhagen Wolves realize that Diamond is going to have to deal with them, and now they turn around. The moment that Diamond steps away from that lane, they go for the inhibitor turret. They're going to take it down, and now the damage is going to go on towards Darian. They flip Darian in there. He slices and dices across. Crescendo does manage to flick across the entire team, but Darian's so low right now. The focus is all on towards Darian. He's going to run away from this one, and now Alex Itch with that Bjergsen diving all over him. Bjergsen should be able to pop down Alex Itch. 1 member goes down, 2 members go down. Bjergsen gets on towards Genja. That Guardian Angel's not going to help much longer. The Tess is there. Requiem's going to come down, but Diamond Prox, one more snipe shot. No, he couldn't quite got the volley. Guardian Angel's going to come back up. Everybody's so low on Copenhagen Wolves right now. It was a 3-for-3 engage, and now they're chasing on towards the Tess. He turns it around, puts the volley down. Will it be enough? No, he gets shut down by Diamond Prox. It's a 4-for-3 trade. They didn't quite get the inhibitor, and now they have to fend off the super minions.
They did manage to get the turret, and that's the important thing. The next time that fight happens, they will be able to pick it up. Super minions are chasing onto Edward, and he's not actually going to be able to win out that fight. Forced to run for his life. Edward is now dealing with the minions in the top lane. Remember, they have extra HP, so it's going to be pushing against them. Copenhagen Wolves overstayed their welcome just a little bit, and Gambit did very well to survive as long as they did, but it was 4-for-3 at the end of the day, and they did lose the turret. So Wolves Wolves will be happy with that pressure.
Edward comes speeding out, trying to defend off that inhibitor. They don't want to let that one go down. Their mid-lane inhibitor will be respawning very soon, actually. So those super minions, they're not going to last much longer up that mid lane. 2-minute timer you see come up for the Baron. That will be the next target of focus. And Gambit, they really need to clear out all of the lanes quickly.
So another epic here today on Super Week. 50 minutes and still going. 1 minute 40 seconds on the clock until Baron Nashor comes back up. And that's definitely going to be the next point of contention here. You can see the insanely high CS numbers. Mid laners, 470 CS apiece. AD carries, 410 to 436. Even our top laners are approaching 300. Hell, even Jungle Masters has 300 CS. With the amount of time that these two teams have been spending, this is probably one of the richest games we've seen all weekend long.
Yeah, you can see they're both at 82,000 right now and 78,000, so just 4,000 between them. That really doesn't equate for a great deal right now, because honestly, they are all approaching their 6 items. You can see 20,000 on Bjergsen now. That's being closed in also by Alexij. Both the AD carries, it's just 1,000 gold between them, but when you're talking 18,000, that 1,000 gold is not the biggest gap right now. So who is looking the stronger in terms of items between the two? We do see the Guardian Angels were popped by the test, but it is back available for Genja. That could be important in the next fight.
Definitely. They're going to be able to be that 6th man effectively if they pick a fight, and it looks like they're about to pick one. They've stunned up Svenskeren, and there they go.
Well, Darian went very aggressive there, but got caught out and couldn't quite get the stun down, and takes a hell of a lot of damage, and suddenly they're going to turn this one around. Godbro goes in, puts the Insanity Potion, ultimate comes out from Darian. There's the crescendo hitting across them, but down Godbro, he's running around the entire team. There's Alexij, got a great defile, and Bjergsen goes deep, but immediately gets exhausted. He does manage to get the pop down. Requiem comes out from the rest of the team. That's going to do a hell of a chunk of damage, but Copenhagen Wolves are still continuing to chase this one out. The test manages to get a double kill. Can they chase through? Flash! Fling! Godbro, Genja gets down. It's a triple kill there. The test manages to get down. Darian's going to go down as well. That is going to be Svenskeren. Edwards being chased out. Has he got enough to poke down Godbro? No, he's going to fling him around, and now Edward has to get back to base. The inhibitors are respawned, but I think he might just be enough to finish it off. The test is allowed.
They've done it. They've done it. The Copenhagen Wolves have beaten Gambit. They have enough time to finish here. Svenskeren has got a lot of armor. He can tank. And look at the minion wave moving up here from the mid lane. Copenhagen Wolves kited and stayed alive for so long in the mid there. This is going to be the game. Copenhagen Wolves finished the weekend 4-1, only dropping a match to Evil Geniuses. They will place 5th in the league, but what a game. They have been giving it to Gambit all game long, and they are going to pick up the victory.
What a fantastic result there for the Copenhagen Wolves, finally taking down Gambit and giving Fnatic first place in the league for the final matches. And wow, another epic comes out there. 52 minutes. And, well, the hands get shaken. Great sportsmanship between these two teams. And, well, look at the scores. 10-6-8 Bjergsen, 486 CS, 420 CX for the test, 450 for Genja, 473 for Alexij. This was such a high kill rate game, high farm rate game. Things took a long time to get going, but boy, did they get going.
Yeah, exactly. Such a great, exciting, exhilarating match. And Evil Geniuses are going to need to be scared. Copenhagen Wolves are going to be coming into the playoffs, into that best of 3, fully aware of who their opponents are. And with that victory, the Wolves will be looking to make it to the semis.
And would you believe it, Godbro? He finally died, but just the once. Just the once. His KDA is incredible. So we are going to pass over to the analysis desk to take us through that epic. It was a 52-minute thriller. It's going to be Joe Meller and Jason Kaplan.
Thanks a lot, guys, and a thriller it definitely was there, Jason. Absolutely brilliant game. Copenhagen Wolves, wow. Last game of the season for them here, and my gosh. They're such a different team to what we start. I mean, they literally are a different team because of Bjergsen coming in. You have to wonder what would have happened if Bjergsen just 3 weeks earlier was 17.
They might be in the top of the tables, to be honest. And I think the Copenhagen Wolves should rename themselves to Bjergsen's Wolves, which is the way he's been playing. He's always been carrying his team. But I have like a half page of notes just from that game alone. I mean, we started off with Diamond getting a really nice gank onto that bottom lane with Darian, where he flashed in, got the stun, picked up a kill on the test, who just realized after his flash is down, you know, I'm not going to survive. I'm red pot at barrier. I'll just save it for another time. And then from there, it just kept going. But the whole story was something we saw back in Lille without Bjergsen. It's just let Bjergsen split push, just keep the rest of the team alive, don't fight, and then you'll end up winning these fights as the game goes on.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to the entire team there from Copenhagen Wolves. As Demon said, God, bro. This is a player who, at the start of the season and even in the mid stages of the season, looked a bit shaky, to be honest. Looked to be a possible weak link in this Copenhagen Wolves lineup. But these last 2 weekends, well, I say last 2 weekends, he didn't play last week. So this weekend, he's looked so amazing. Died once in that game, 14 assists, got a kill in there as well. Was such a big impact player on that one. You've got Svenskeren in there as well, who his Jarvan's been amazing. The Zin that he played earlier on was awesome. The Cho'Gath here was perfect almost at 5-1-12 as well. And then, you know, you talk about the test. Not the best laning phase that he could have wished for, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But he finished on 426 CS, 7-5 for 9, making a massive impact on the game.
Yeah, they all did individually, and there was like this really long period of time where nothing was happening at all, and it was all because the Wolves were just trying to let their team farm up. Like Godbro, they want to get a couple of items on him, but more importantly, they wanted Bjergsen strong enough to 1v1 anyone on the team, which you end up seeing or saw happening with Darren. He blew him up completely in one full combo, and from that, like Wolves are like, okay, we can finally start doing something because we know no one on Gambit can really survive against this burst that we have out of Bjergsen. That was the story of the entire fight, and you know, as the game went on, it wasn't even Bjergsen that was the one that was shining through in the later team fights. It was all about, well, it was all about him stalling pretty much the back line of Gambit and letting the rest of his team pick up those kills. And you mentioned Godbro. Every initiate was out of him, and he created those opportunities for those fights to happen.
So let's have a look at the replays then. We've got 2 for you from that match because it was such a great one. And talk us through where we are at in the game and what's going on in this first one.
Okay, so we're 44 minutes in. You know, the Wolves have about a 5,000 gold lead, but the big thing is that we have a 2-man Baron happening out of Gambit, and the rest of the Wolves are trying to look for an engage here. And just as we mentioned, Godbro, he's the one that's going to start this thing off. So let's get the replay on your screen and show you exactly what happens here. And why we wanted to highlight this replay, because it was all about Wolves catching Gambit off guard. So you see right here that the rest of the Wolves are pretty much trailing from behind. They're going to come in, and you have that 2-man Baron, like I was mentioning, happening over with Gambit, with Alex and Genja. So they're missing their major 2 damage dealers. And because of Godbro having that rallies, he gets the fling out of Diamond, and they're like trying to save him here, but you see on the Baron, they're still doing it. Like, they don't want to back off, they don't want to give it away. They think the team can escape here, but with the damage they have, with the CC they have, they're able to pick up these kills. And yeah, I mean, Gambit has Baron, but it doesn't matter because Wolves were able to pick up these kills and were able to, you know, take an advantage, take some more turrets, take an inhibitor turret, and we're able to finally close out the game because of that. Because this one fight right here, because that one decision that Gambit ended up choosing.
There's some interesting things in there as well, like putting the Ignite on Singed, for example, which not 100% sure if that's what they really should have been doing in that situation. But Godbro, as I said, we saw him really liking this Singe play early on in the season. It was pretty hit and miss, if we're being honest about it. It wasn't definitely right up there at the top, but this was, you know, perfect Singe play in there, you know, being right in the back, keeping the glue coming out there, flinging the targets for protection and also to get things going. Brilliant.
And more importantly, like, was the fact that he wouldn't die. Like, he would go in and out of the fights, take enough damage to, you know, you would pretty much force Gambit to attack him as much as possible, but then he would escape, come back into the game, or into the fight a little bit later when they said he pushed and gave him the extra regen he needed, not to mention the Spirit Visage on top of that.
Yep.
And then it'd be even more annoying. And, you know, we mentioned him again because in this next replay we're going to show you another fling sets up this entire fight and pretty much causes the Wolves to end up taking the inhibitor yet again, almost finishing the game, but not quite.
Well, they did in the end, but let's have a look at this replay then, number 2.
All right, so it's 83,000 gold to 78,000, so the game's relatively close. Gambit, we're starting to make a push back into the game. 50 minutes in, I mean, that's really long. And the thing is, the Wolves know if they lost a fight here on their side of the map, the game would probably be over. Like, because Gambit could push down the entire base of the Wolves. So let's get the replay on your screen and show you what happens here, because there's a couple of really key plays, especially with Godbro, that really set up this entire fight perfectly. So Darren, he's going to take about half of his health in damage here just from being flinged in, being hit by a turret in the test, doing some really good damage to him. And this is something I want to show. So they call for the engage. You see Godbro, he's going to go into the backline with the Insanity Potion, and what he does is he's going to fling Alex Itch right into the ultimate of Deficio, and he's going to keep him inside of that. And because of it, they get the nice knock-up onto him. They pretty much mitigate a lot of his damage, and they're able to train the damage onto every member of Gambit, not to mention the Chain of Corruption coming in. It just locks them down perfectly. And Bjergsen, like I was saying before, he wasn't really like a star player as in the team fight. It's just he was a distraction. Like, he got Genja's Guardian Angel off right away. You see 4 members of Gambit fighting him, while Alex is left alone fighting the 4 members of Wolves. And if you look at the health bars, it's completely in favor of the Wolves. And they just continue this. They end up winning the fight. Bjergsen goes down, but honestly, it was worth it in the end, as they are going to be able to pick up that the ace, I believe it was, and finish off the game a couple fights later.
Yeah, really nice play from the Copenhagen Wolves, and we have to say, they're without doubt the most improved team here in the LCS.
Yes,
I think there's no question about that. So let's give our MVP to this game. And again, it was a really hard one because of the various different things. We actually are going to have the test here for our next section. He's already waiting here off to the side, so I'm going to be careful what I say here for this one. But we're going to give the MVP over to Bjergsen simply because he's made so many people think that Zed is easy to play from that game.
I thought it was easy. I don't know. I tried it once and it went terribly. But yeah, and the whole point of that, they let him farm long enough. Like you see this happen so many times. They let him farm long enough so he could one-shot anyone in Gambit. But the thing is, he stalled the game long enough for that to happen. He stalled the game long enough for Godbro to get the items he needed, for the Test, who had a bad laning phase, to catch up. I mean, that's why we give him the MVP. And we mentioned before, Godbro, he played an extraordinary game. And we have to give him a little bit of a notice there, too.
Definitely. And Svenskeren, that Cho'Gath was in the right place at the right time. We saw some extremely clutch silences out of him in team fights and ruptures as well. So overall, again, I wish we sometimes had like a team MVP just to give them all one.
And I like how you mentioned Svenskeren, because we've highlighted him consistently in the weeks, saying his champion pool is very limited. He's running Jarvan's in, that's it. But he showed us this week his Nazes, he showed us his Cho. He can play other junglers, and he can really be impactful the way he needs to be for his team.
Well, congratulations once again to the Copenhagen Wolves. Definitely going to be wanting to bring that kind of game against EG next weekend in the playoffs. But that's it from us here from the analysis desk for now. We're going to go over to Shox, who's waiting with the MVP of that game, Bjergsen.
Thank you. I'm here with Bjergsen, the MVP. Bjergsen, I want to ask you, I was a little confused at the picks and bans because you guys banned out Shen. You had first pick, and that's a champion that Godbro is very comfortable of, and then you first picked Varus.
Yeah, I'm going to have to admit, we kind of choked in Champion Select. We wanted to ban Kayle instead of either Shen or Thresh, because we pretty much banned all the champions we wanted to play. So when we were going to first pick, we were like, they don't play Varus, we don't have to first pick Varus, but we don't have anything to first pick. But if we were going to ban Kayle instead of one of them, because Kayle makes Zed safer first pick or second pick. So we kind of fucked up, I'm going to have to admit it, but it worked out in the end.
All right, it went late game again, and that's when it gets scary against Gambit. They also had a Nasus and a Karthus who could just farm it up, so what was your strategy to not let them win?
When we got to late game, we already had a bunch of towers because we had the Zed split pushing, and it's just super strong because I could get so many towers, and Godbro could be farming bot lane, and we just had so many towers that we always had Baron control, we always had Dragon control, buff control. And when we got to late game, we had that advantage, and we could still win.
I interviewed Krepo before after he won against you guys, and he said, yeah, we have the mental advantage now going into the game, but then such a strong game against Gambit. How do you feel going into that best of 3 next week?
I would say we're feeling pretty confident. The game against EG, we did some obvious mistakes, and once Froggen starts getting snowballed on that Twisted Fate, there's no way back. And we did some obvious mistakes. We know what we can change, and we're really happy after this win against Gambit.
Thank you very much, Bjergsen. All right, Against All Authority showed us that they have no intention of exiting the LCS by bringing down EG on Friday. We all know underdogs are the most dangerous competitors, so can they do the same against Dragonborns? We will find out after the break.